so-called dark transits, evading Western sanctions that likely have ties with Iran. More recently, vessels with ties to India and Pakistan have also successfully crossed the strait. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
The Iran war has rattled the global flow of oil, with steeper fuel costs already straining households worldwide. In the U.S., drivers facing the highest prices they've seen at the pump in 2.5 years. Vice President Vance says he knows high gas prices are a big issue.
We are fighting against it, and we promise that when this conflict draws to a close, when this operation draws to a close, we're going to see those energy prices come back down to reality, because that's what the president promised to do. He delivered an energy-dominant agenda. It's made us much more secure in the face of these things. But yeah, we've got a rough road ahead of us for the next few weeks, but it's temporary.
According to Motor Club AAA, the national average for a gallon of regular jumped to over $3.84, up from $2.98 consumers were paying before the U.S. and Israel attacked Iran. Iran and Russia have both alleged that a projectile struck the grounds of the Bushehr nuclear power plant in the Islamic Republic, raising the specter of a radiological incident. Neither Iran nor Russia, though, say there was any release of nuclear material. More at townhall.com.
They say timing is everything in the gold and silver markets, and it's true. Dennis Prager here for AmFed Coin and Bullion. Although you can buy at the right time, if you buy the wrong coins, you may not make a profit. When gold was $400 an ounce, many people were talked into buying high-grade old gold and silver collector's coins. Unfortunately, most of the people who bought these so-called semi-numismatic coins, like the $20 St. Gaudens and Liberty Head gold coins, have not broken even on their investment. Incredible, given that gold has risen approximately 525% since then. So while timing is everything, if you buy the wrong coins, the timing simply doesn't matter. Having a dealer who cares about positioning you in the right types of coins or bullion will mean more to your portfolio than anything else. That's why I deal with Nick Rovich and AmFed Coin and Bullion. Whether you're buying or selling, call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. Or go to AmericanFederal.com. AmericanFederal.com.
Lisa Dwyer reports that a Macy's refresh is starting to pay off.
Macy's is reporting stronger than expected profits from the crucial fourth quarter of last year, and comparable sales are up again. The department store says an overhaul of its merchandise and improved customer service is leading to more spending by shoppers. The company, which also operates upscale Bloomingdale's and the beauty chain Blue Mercury, offered a mixed outlook for the year, projecting sales above Wall Street expectations while remaining conservative on the outlook on profits. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The National Retail Federation, the nation's largest retail trade group, forecasting annual retail sales will grow at a faster clip this year than last year, citing consumers' resilience despite lots of economic volatility. But the group says that the Iran war is too uncertain to factor in its impact on retail sales. News and analysis at townhall.com.
Hey y'all, this is Post Malone. Back in '86, Stevie Ray Vaughan inspired Texans to take pride in ending roadside litter. Don't Mess with Texas has meant don't litter for 40 years. Let's keep it up.
Brought to you by TxDOT.
You know, where we go in life matters, and what we do matters, and we know that taking the wrong road won't produce the best outcomes. Hi, I'm Kathy with Baker Mortgage, and we want you to take the right path when it comes to your mortgage. You know, we live in a world of information overload, but always consider the source. And these are not generally going to be from your big bank or a random offer that comes across your screen. Remember, you're always going to get a better deal on one that you go looking for than one that comes looking for you. You need to deal with somebody who gives a you-know-what, whether or not you're happy in the end. At Baker Mortgage, we do it right. We haven't been around for 68 years because we're lucky. We don't sell CDs, insurance, or anything else. We just provide a great mortgage experience. Isn't that what you're looking for? Call us at Baker Mortgage. I promise you'll be glad you did. We're at 281-313-MOVE or go directly to bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License number 263213. Match is back here in the Mac Z-Cliner. I'm recovering from surgery thanks in large part to this miracle chair, the Mac Z-Cliner. You can sit in it, you can recline in it, you can watch TV in it, you can eat in it, you can sleep in it. It goes to zero gravity position. The Mac Z-Cliner helped me recover. It also has heat and massage, a place to charge your cell phone. Come out to Gallery Furniture, buy a Mac Z-Cliner before your surgery. Gallery Furniture delivers tonight, or after your surgery, Gallery Furniture delivers tonight, and you'll sit and sleep great tonight.
Tune in each Sunday morning at 9 a.m. for On the Money with your host and CEO of Allied Wealth Texas, Ryan Wheelis, who can help you live your richest life possible during your retirement years. That's each Sunday at 9 a.m. right here on AM 700 KSEV.
Where should I begin?
Can we talk about this?
Say, what are you trying to say?
Beyond the usual controversial talk.
Blah, blah, blah,
oh, yeah.
Over there.
One, two, cha-cha-cha. 1, 2, cha-cha-cha.
Prepare yourself for Craig.
Okay.
Preparing a mighty new spectacle here.
Articulate, stimulating, hit you right in the... there you go.
We start becoming a team right now.
This is the Craig Collins Show.
Lord Jesus. Oh, God, no.
Start talking. Talk fast.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Now your host.
He's a good man.
Craig.
That's right. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. Thrilled to be with you. A lot of stuff out there to talk about. A lot of Texas stuff out there to talk about today as the voice of Texas. Glad to do that. That is where we'll start. At some point, we will get to the craziness that was Rand Paul and Markwayne Mullin and what I think very much demonstrated a personal attack and is the reason that politics sucks so much sometimes. What I mean is politicians care more about themselves than about doing what's right or wrong for us, the American people. But I want to start with Jasmine Crockett because she's insane, and she said an insane thing again. And no part of what I'm about to play is factually backed up at all. I want to be as clear as I can as I say this because she's going to claim that the stats, the information she's looking at, the same information that at certain times told her that people were working with pedophiles when they were working with totally different people, also named Jeffrey Epstein. Like, she's gotten her data wrong a tremendous amount of times. And yet Jasmine Crockett out there again, very confident in what she's saying, accusing President Trump of being a pro-drug trafficking president when he is literally blowing drug traffickers up. He's blowing up boats that drug traffickers are on. And she's like, this guy loves the drug traffickers. Let's go ahead and play that.
International drug traffickers love Donald Trump because they know that even if they are arrested, it's easy enough to get a pardon from him. The data shows that Donald Trump is one of the most pro-drug trafficking presidents in modern day history.
So stupid.
Since he took office, prosecutions for drug trafficking have fallen to the lowest levels in decades.
By the way, I don't know if you noticed, she said drug trafficking. She's back to saying things a certain way after losing in the Senate race, the primary Senate race here.
Because the agents tasked with going after drug cartels have either been fired or forced to start raiding your local Home Depot. Or illegally breaking into the homes of American citizens.
By the way, what I love about that point, too, I'm just going to keep interrupting her because she annoys me so much, is leaving out the information about the people who are here illegally, the illegal aliens that were involved in the drug trade. Because a whole lot of people who got arrested by Tom Homan and others just so happen to have drug charges on their record. But that doesn't matter. These are American citizens, according to the newly re-urbanized Jasmine Crockett.
Or monitoring community schools and churches so that the government can disappear entire families. It was never about protecting Americans. It was never about bringing democracy to Venezuela.
It was.
It was never about stopping illicit drugs from entering the country.
It was. And
like
it did.
Everything else this administration does, it was about corruption.
No. This is all about you, by the way. I love that these are the claims that people make, and I have Talarico audio that you've probably heard by now, but I still need to play it because I've only lived in Texas for a little over a year now, and I can definitely tell that this take by Talarico is not going to be one that a lot of Texans, certainly cattle farmers, are going to be fans of. Before I finish with Jasmine Crockett and the stupidity of what she's saying, this is the game all the time. You know it. You've seen it before. Most people listening to this station, I think, are acutely aware of this, but they just want to make the truth whatever benefits them. And the way they go about that is just saying the insane, crazy stuff, the stuff with no amount of factual information backing it up, and be like, this is facts. This is proven. Everybody knows this is a thing. How dare you say anything at all to anyone else who doesn't understand this, you dummies. And then they just go from there. And their idiot, the useful idiots, as they're often called, their idiot followers just parrot that information. And so somebody somewhere today is going to say, did you know that Donald Trump is pro-drug trafficking? And if you actually know anything, if you're actually paying attention at all to the previous shots the Democrats took at this president, the blowing up of the boats being among them, you know they were saying the exact opposite thing only a short time ago. So it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Let's see what takes. Let's see how it goes. And also the way she speaks. Jasmine Crockett, again, back to some urban-sounding language, some slang that had just disappeared from her day-to-day vocabulary when she was trying to defeat James Talarico in that Senate primary for Democrats here in the state. And by the way, to go immediately from Crockett to Talarico was kind of the plan, because this is so bad. This is yet another version of James Talarico out there saying a thing that he probably now regrets. This is when he's running a different political race in Austin, Texas, where he's trying to appease the very, very blue, very, far left people that vote in certain elections in just very small parts of this state. And apparently he's very proud of the fact that they went no meat within their campaign. I want to play all this audio. I'm sure you've heard it, but there's a response from Talarico now on social media that's as dumb as this take is, because it just shows that he's so easily manipulated, so purchasable. Whoever wants to swing in and tell him, hey, I'll give you some money to do this or say this, or we think if you do this and say this, you'll actually wind up winning a political race, he'll say and do anything. His opinion is so, bought and paid for that it makes him the most annoying, stupid, like all the things you can say about what terrible stuff politicians do to enrich themselves and not help us. Talarico, to a T, is showing us that he's that kind of person.
We have, I think, heard more and more issues of animal welfare. I think not just because it's the right thing
animal welfare,
to do and the moral thing to do, but also it's, as all of you know, necessary to fight climate change. It is now existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption and that we try to respect animals in all aspects of society. And so I am proud to say that our campaign has officially become a non-meat campaign. So we are...
I love the muted applause, even in places like Austin, Texas, where he's like, it's obviously we're trying to treat animals better. I treat animals great by respecting the thing that's most important about them, especially ones that eventually feed me, is that they're food for me. I think that's respect. I think turning my attention to making sure that I eat as much steak as possible so that steak isn't wasted in a grocery store somewhere, that's my version of respecting the food chain that is the world in which we live. Let's let Talarico continue.
We are only buying vegan products from our local vegan businesses. Some of you may know Big Nona's. They were little Nona's, and then they opened up brick and mortar, so another Big Nona's. But,
never heard of them.
We just got our pizza from there today. And so the point is that I think all of us, not just policymakers, but everyone has to take personal responsibility in this.
I'm going to kiss up to whoever I think is going to write me my next check. I have no idea what room he was in, what people he was trying to impress with that very, very bad take in the meat capital of the country, I think. I think Texas is responsible for a whole lot of steak. Literally, there are restaurants that are not in this state that are named after our state because of how proud they are of the Texas meat that they're serving other places. So I wish that this was truly, as a rare steak eater myself, I wish this is the thing that finally topples him. Not all the crazy stuff he said about God being non-binary or all the other ways in which he tried to curry favor from people and say and do all the things that he doesn't believe but he thinks benefits him from a political place. Just performative politics, the most annoying of it. I hope this is the thing that actually topples him, that a whole bunch of people show up eating steak when they choose to vote against him in our next voting opportunity in these final races that are coming up. Whoever our Senate politician actually is, I hope that, and I'm going to actually do this. You know what? I'm not just going to say this is a silly idea. I'm going to commit to it. I'm going to bring a filet mignon with me when I vote against James Talarico in the Senate race here in Texas. My wife will probably make one. I'm hoping she does because I don't want to make it myself. I'm not as good at it as she is. But nonetheless, I promise I'll eat a steak as I vote no to this moron. All right, another thing out there that I want to play. I just thought this was amazing. This piggybacks on what I was talking about yesterday. And CNN is doing the dirty work, or I don't know, the actual research for me, which I'm not sure it makes them happy. When they say some of this stuff, CNN wants their viewers to think this is horrible. They want their left-leaning idiots to hear their, a statistician say out loud that, oh my God, the GOP approves of Trump. And they want people sitting at home to be like, no, how dare they do that? But this is the latest amazing version of that same thing over and over again, where everyday Americans, by and large, are overwhelmingly supportive, at least ones that identify as conservatives. Most of the people who voted in the election that made Trump a popular vote-winning president. But here, I'll play this again. I just think it's so awesome that some of these stats are overwhelmingly one-sided. And this is actually an NBC News poll that CNN was talking about.
Yeah, sometimes you look at the polling data and there are numbers that just jump off the screen at you, and this is one of those. Because just take a look here. MAGA GOP view of Trump. Approve 100%. 100%. If you are a member of MAGA and the GOP, you approve of Donald John Trump. 0% say that they disapprove. You don't have to be a mathematical genius to know you can't go higher than 100%. He is the 1972 Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, he's the 1972 Miami Dolphins. That's great. He's perfect. He's got the perfect season. Yes, 100% of GOP voters said that they have a positive approval version of a view of President Trump right now with everything going on. It's fantastic to see that, to watch CNN react to it and their talking heads be like, how could this be possible? How could most people who voted for Trump, and then he promised to do things, and he's doing all the stuff he promised to do, how can they like that? How dare they? Don't they understand what it's like to be a Democratic voter? All the promises are things that don't get fulfilled. They lie and absolutely don't do any of the campaign things they'll tell you that they're going to do for you. That's what it's supposed to be. How dare this person follow the things he said he was going to do before he was voted into office? I love every part of this. I couldn't have enjoyed it more. And actually, I'll just throw one other thing out there before we take our first break. Mark Cuban, of all people, a very anti-Trump guy. But Mark Cuban is saying how great Trump RX is. This was on social media today. On X, he put up a big post. And here, I'll just read some of what Mark Cuban said about Trump's attempt, and in some ways very successful attempt, to lower the prices of a lot of prescriptions, a lot of medicine. Granted, I'd like to see even more fall into the umbrella of Trump RX. But here's what Mark Cuban said. Everyone wants me to rip on Trump RX. Reality is it's saving patients money on IVF and a few other drugs. A lot of money. That's Mark Cuban still. In my opinion, anything that saves patients money is a win, and they truly do have some great people that are making smart moves. You just don't know their names, but there are a lot of people, he goes on to name some, that still won't matter to you. But there are a lot of people that Trump has put in positions of power that are trying to combat the ridiculous runaway prices of drugs, of the things you and I need. Certainly, as you get older in life, there's more things you might rely on to keep yourself alive. IVF treatment's also a great thing for people who didn't have kids. I haven't talked about it much on the show. My wife and I never had any kids. We tried. We tried a lot, which I was not against at all. It was great that we tried as much as we did. But for some reason, and the way we both say it when people ask us, is it wasn't God's thing for us. It wasn't his mission, his plan for it. We might adopt at some point, but the lowering cost of IVF treatments is something that's come up within my family, with me and my wife, about how exciting it is that this is becoming so affordable. And granted, there's a lot of scars there. I don't mean to turn this into an overly focused on me discussion, but for people who try and it doesn't work, there's a lot of scars in trying to create a new avenue of hope, especially a little bit later on in the process. And so there's a push and pull as to whether or not we'll take advantage of some of the things that President Trump is creating. But it's just genuinely kind. It's the kind of thing that you go to bed having a conversation with someone where you have hope in a place you didn't have hope before, not just because you knew the medicine was always out there, but you knew it'll be far more affordable this time around, especially for a guy in radio. And so that's the kind of thing that wins you elections, by the way. When people say, man, look at how this move impacted my life in a positive manner. And there is a bunch of that out there to talk about. All right, we're going to take a break. I'm going to come back from the break with a clip of John Fetterman. Fetterman was asked a simple question: who is in charge of the Democratic Party today? And much like when Biden was in office, but honestly probably not aware himself that he was the president of the United States, the person in charge is a mystery to a whole lot of us, including Fetterman, part of the Democratic Party. I'll give you his take, his exact answer, which I thought was excellent to that question. Not always a fan of Fetterman, certainly a fan there. I have audio of a NATO person, the Secretary General, saying that NATO needs to do certain things in a certain way, and parts of it confuse me, and I'll tell you why in a little bit, because I think NATO is continuing to demonstrate how it's not really a group that appreciates what the United States does for it. And when we need something from them, they should be a little bit more agreeable. And then finally, I will get to the Rand Paul, Markwayne Mullin thing that happened, and what I think was a very petty, very personal, vendetta-style attack from Rand Paul on Markwayne Mullin. I'm not trying to say that it is or isn't a thing that Rand Paul should feel about Markwayne Mullin, or the opposite. I don't give a crap how they feel about each other, honestly. I don't care if they like each other. What I know, what I believe, is that politics and your political positions should rise to the forefront of a conversation, and your own personal beliefs about someone or your desire to try to attack them for what you think they said or did about you individually is getting us further from the target that we want to be over, not getting us over that target, not finding us a better path to doing things well. And I'll just go a step further. I like Markwayne Mullin. I do like the way in which he looks at some politicians and says, you want to go fight outside? Because even though he's never fought anybody, which seems like it needs to be mentioned here, Markwayne Mullin has not actually thrown down with anybody. He's offered, and at times when he's offered, I was sitting there thinking to myself, man, I wish someone would punch this person. And then Markwayne wanted to do it and didn't do it, which matters. When you talk about temperament, I think one of the things you actually need is an example of actual violence taking place in order to say, this guy might punch somebody. You can't just threaten to do it. I think you actually have to do it. Luckily, Markwayne never done that. But all right, we're going to take a break. As I said, a lot to get to. We have a little bit more Texas-based stuff I also want to talk about. Just a lot of things. Kathy Hochul begging New Yorkers that are already fleeing that state to come back because the rich people that don't want to pay the ridiculous new taxes have the means to leave. That's crazy. I have audio of that, a bunch of things. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas.
You know, where we go in life matters, and what we do matters, and we know that taking the wrong road won't produce the best outcomes. Hi, I'm Kathy with Baker Mortgage, and we want you to take the right path when it comes to your mortgage. You know, we live in a world of information overload, but always consider the source, and these are not generally going to be from your big bank or a random offer that comes across your screen. Remember, you're always going to get a better deal on one that you go looking for than one that comes looking for you. You need to deal with somebody who gives a you-know-what, whether or not you're happy in the end. At Baker Mortgage, we do it right. We haven't been around for 68 years because we're lucky. We don't sell CDs, insurance, or anything else. We just provide a great mortgage experience. Isn't that what you're looking for? Call us at Baker Mortgage. I promise you'll be glad you did. We're at 281-313-MOVE or go directly to bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License number 263213.
Matches back here in the Mac Z-Cliner. I'm recovering from surgery thanks in large part to this miracle chair, the Mac Z-Cliner. You can sit in it, you can recline in it, you can watch TV in it, you can eat in it, you can sleep in it. It goes to zero gravity position. The Mac Z-Cliner helped me recover. It also has heat and massage, a place to charge your cell phone. Come out to Gallery Furniture, buy a Mac Z-Cliner before your surgery. Gallery Furniture delivers tonight, or after your surgery, Gallery Furniture delivers tonight, and you'll sit and sleep great tonight.
If you have roof problems, you can sure see them when it rains. This is Deb Tejada from Tejas Roofing. If you see a leak, call me immediately, 281-251-0304. I'll send over the Tejas Roof Repair truck.
That truck has everything our experienced crew needs to fix your roof, right then and there.
The Tejas Roofing crew has been working together fixing leaky roofs for 15 years.
It's not a pretty truck, but it has everything we need to get the job done. I kind of like the way it looks.
Most roofing repairs cost less than $500. Why? Because we find the cause of the leak and repair that leak. We won't try to sell you services you don't need.
And we'll fix it right away because everything we need is in our truck.
Don't put off fixing a leaky roof. Call me at Tejas Roofing and I'll send over the truck. 281-251-0304. When you think of roofing repairs or a new roof, think Tejas Roofing, your Houston roofing company. 281-251-0304. That's Tejas Roofing, 281-251-0304.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel. Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Who do you think leads the Democratic Party today?
Oh, we don't have one. I think the TDS. I think that's the leader right now. Right now our party is governed by the TDS, and now it's made it virtually impossible without being punished as a Democrat to agree something's good, or I agree with the other side. And I would define that by epic fury. I am literally the only Democrat in America in Congress that I've come across that's saying, I think it's a great thing to break and destroy the Iranian regime. I think it's entirely appropriate to hold them accountable. And what's strange to me that every single Democrat that's run for president and anyone that I know in Congress says we must never allow them to acquire a nuclear bomb. When that happens, why not celebrate that or acknowledge that?
Yeah, why not actually do the thing you're all saying you want to do? This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. That's John Fetterman on the All In podcast, a really good podcast you should check out, answering a very simple question. What do you think, who do you think is in charge of the Democratic Party? And the answer is the idea that Donald Trump is terrible. And I'm sure Barack Obama deserves to be a name that's thrown in there, or anyone else in his orbit. But nonetheless, beyond that, it's truly anti-Trump all the time. Whatever you can say, whatever you can do. And that's where I think, and I'll do it in a second, the Markwayne Mullin Rand Paul thing has really hit me the wrong way and really made me think that Rand Paul could have handled this very differently, because it just smells like that same thing that you see all the time on the Democratic side of the aisle, which is Trump did something and it's got to be terrible. It has to be awful and horrible because Trump did it and I have to object to it. And Rand Paul allowed himself to do this for very selfish reasons. He did this because personally he doesn't like someone. He has some issues with some things they've said publicly, and for that reason he wanted to attack them in a public place, as opposed to try to find an avenue and a solution in private, which is what you actually do if you want people within your party to be successful. And if you want President Trump's nomination to succeed, you do it way differently. If you actually care about finding common ground, you don't attack someone at a hearing the way that Rand Paul did. But I'll get to that. I also want to mention this. James Talarico, in my opinion, just a hilarious piece of crap, who every single day is showing you how for sale he is, how his opinions will change, like that, depending on what way he thinks the wind is blowing within the ridiculous and extreme versions of his political party. And some of the stuff he says he might actually believe, other stuff, who knows. But he was very proud of the fact that his campaign had gone vegan at one point early on in his political career. He's still young, so pretty much just a few years ago. He posted a photo of himself eating meat at a fair to say that he's obviously not vegan, which even more demonstrates how none of the things he tells you that he cares about are things that he actually cares about. Like, that's the part I love that Democrats always forget when they do this stuff, when they argue with themselves and the things they've said in the past. And there's this awesome video and audio of Chuck Schumer talking all about how important IDs are in our country to understand that people legitimately are here. And it's arguing with current Chuck Schumer. But you get that all the time. All these Democrats get upset when you use their own words against them. You're like, but you said this before. And what it really outs them as when they argue with themselves, when Kamala Harris did it while trying to steal the nomination she never earned to try to be president of the country, which thank God she is not. But she did the same thing, argued with her past self because what they say doesn't matter. And that should be more of a problem to us, the American people, than the fact that they had insane opinions at one point and now they're claiming not to have them. I care about both. The insane opinion people should not be in positions of power, but I also think it's interesting that they just so blatantly say out loud, yeah, when I said that, I didn't mean it, or I don't mean it now, or I've changed all my opinions on everything. It's almost like at some point, if for some reason it benefited Democrats, which it won't, I wish it would, they eventually all started to like Trump. Like, how funny would that be if there was some reason that all the Democrats at the end of this term in office found an avenue to where it would benefit them with their voters if they claimed to like Trump? I promise all of them would renounce Trump derangement syndrome if they thought it benefited themselves. They're not going to do it. It's because Trump actually gets things done and they hate him for it that it'll never be a performance like that. But I promise you even that would be something that would be for sale that you could buy their change of opinion on. All right, I want to transition to the Rand Paul, Markwayne Mullin stuff. And I do think that not only was the better place to have this discussion outside of the venue that Rand Paul chose to have it in, you could have done this at any time. And some people will put the onus on Markwayne Mullin to reach out to Rand Paul to say, hey, when I said that thing about your neighbor attacking you, and I thought I could understand it, even though I didn't actually say I agreed with it or that I was happy it happened, which does matter. They are different sentiments. One is I could see how you could make someone so mad that they would physically want to attack you. I denounce it, but I could see how it could happen. And a lot of us can see that about a lot of politicians. I'm not just targeting Rand Paul when I say that. There's a tremendous amount of people in D.C. who act so elite that when you hear them, when you watch the way they carry themselves, when you are it's just thrown in your face that these people think they're better than you, the thing in the back of your mind is like, man, I wish someone would haul off and sock you. Not that you actually want to see it happen, but the back part of your brain is like, I'd like someone to humble you. And Markwayne Mullin, an MMA fighter, he can humble a lot of people. So I understand a lot of the aspects of this, but Markwayne Mullin did not say it was okay, it was appropriate, that he thinks it's a good thing that it happened. He didn't say any of that. He simply said that he could see how Rand Paul might eventually, after living 10 years or I think it was 17 years next door to the person that attacked him, eventually make someone mad enough that they might want to harm him. And the person who attacked Rand Paul did harm him significantly. I'm not trying to undercut the seriousness of that. Again, I think it's apples and oranges in how you talk about this. But the thing that's even more important to me that happened today is how little Rand Paul seemed to want to have an earnest discussion with Markwayne Mullin in public. You'd want him to do this in private, but if he did it in public, you'd at least want it to seem as though Rand Paul is willing to have a back-and-forth discussion. But the constant interrupting, just the seething versions of what I saw as very much dislike for the person that you're talking to, it overtook the hearing. It became a focal point that Democrats are now running with. They're trying to prevent Trump from getting a nominee that he'd like to get and saying, see, look, the GOP agrees with us. That's always the other game they play, by the way. When they tell you that we're fighting each other, that the infighting is so significant within the Republican Party, all they're trying to do is get their version of agenda done. They would like to fracture our movement and our position as much as possible so that inevitably they win more elections because we have people voting over here, over there, whatever, or just not voting at all. But here's part of the audio, part of the back and forth. Markwayne Mullin clapping back, as some said it on social media, saying, you've called me a liar, sir, and that's definitely not a thing that I am.
Chairman made, calling me a liar. Sir, I think everybody in this room knows that I'm very blunt and direct to the point. And if I have something to say, I'll say it directly to your face.
We do.
If you recall, back in my House days, we actually did have this conversation because of remarks that I made. You were in a room I simply addressed that I said I could understand because of the behavior you were having, that I could understand why the neighbor did what he did. As far as my terms of the snake in the grass, sir, I work around this room to try to fix problems.
Yeah.
I've worked with many people in this room. Seems like you fight Republicans more than you work with us.
It does.
I did address those remarks. I did explain your gimmicks by the amendment you put forth. And as far as me saying that I invoke violence, I don't. I don't think anybody should be hit by surprise. I don't like that.
Whoa,
but
wait
if
a minute.
I do have something to say.
Wait a minute. I thought that's not a thing he said. I thought that people will tell you that he didn't say that he didn't renounce the actual act itself of hurting someone. Wait a minute. Did Markwayne Mullin say he doesn't believe in the violence, even though when he heard the entire story of a year-long, it sounds like, conflict between an insane neighbor and Rand Paul, that eventually this neighbor went crazy? He says, yeah, I could see how that could happen. It's not good. It's not a thing I want to see more of in our society, but I understand how it happens occasionally, especially as a guy who's actually gotten a fight or two himself. I think there are a lot of people in this country who've never been hit in the face, who've never gotten any form of a physical conflict, who act as though it's a ridiculous thing that could never happen. And anybody who does it is some ape man, some gorilla who, how dare you do and act like this, you horrible, terrible person. And yet it's a version of human nature. I'm not encouraging it. I'm not saying it should happen more, but I'm saying it does happen, which is a crazy thing that seems to be a thing that some people don't even want to acknowledge. I can't control other people's behavior. I can't control what they do. It's also not going to change how I act. The idea that someone might want to hit me for some of my opinions won't make me shut up. It won't make me say my opinions any differently. But nonetheless, let's hear a little bit more of Markwayne Mullin saying he doesn't agree with violence.
Everybody in this room knows I'll come straight to you. I'll say it publicly and I'll say it privately, but I'll never say it behind your back.
No.
So for you to say, I'm a liar, sir, that's not accurate. And I got proof to say that because you have spent millions of dollars in my campaigns against me because we just don't get along. However, sir, that doesn't keep me at all from doing my job.
Yeah, and from working with you. I love the fact that he says out loud, it doesn't prevent me from doing my job, and we just simply don't get along. Here's more of what Rand Paul said and more of the actual fighting, but I wanted to play that part because I know there's a lot of people out there saying that, oh, this Markwayne Mullin guy, he looks so terrible. He looks like he's so willing to fight anybody at the drop of a hat. And yeah, he's said those words before, but actions speak louder than words, and as far as I know, on the record, he has punched no one that has a political position so far, even if some of them might have seemed deserving. But here's some of the back and forth with Rand Paul as well, where I think Rand Paul was making this a very petty, very personal discussion and not about a political position that someone is appointed to. And I thought, if you're going to tell me that Markwayne Mullin is a guy that has an anger issue, the fact that he handled this as well as he did, because remember, if you chose not to do this off record, you chose to do it on record in front of people, cameras, and everything, at a point in Markwayne Mullin's life where he's hopeful to get I assume, really good job to him, a job that he didn't know he'd ever be put up for, and someone comes at you like this, I think this was the moment where Rand Paul wanted him to go off, wanted him to yell and scream, let's go fight outside, and Markwayne Mullin didn't do that, which I do have to take that into consideration when you're trying to convince me that he can't manage his emotions at all.
I didn't know the extent of your damage. When the phone call was made, I made it to you, and I tried to talk to you. You didn't engage at all. In fact, you said, get your paperwork in. It's got to be 3 days in between.
You offered no apology.
Sir?
And you offer no apology today, and no regrets. Haven't heard the word apologize, haven't heard the word regret, haven't heard I misspoke, and it was heated, and I
haven't heard that you'll kiss my ring if I give you this position that I'd like you to not have.
Made a mistake. I haven't heard any of those words.
Sir, actually, it wasn't heated, and I'm not apologizing for pointing out your character.
Good. So you're jolly well fine, and you want the American public and the people up here to vote that may or may not vote for you to know that you supported the felonious, violent attack on me from behind.
He didn't support it.
I did not say I supported it.
Right. He did not say
I said I understood it. There's a difference.
So that means you really didn't approve of it, just completely understand it. What do you think most people would interpret completely understand to be? Support for or a condemnation of the violence?
Here, let me explain this a different way. Let's say you actually hate somebody, like you personally, who's ever listening to the show right now, hates somebody else. You think to yourself all the time, this guy is such a load of this or that, or he behaves in a way that for this reason or that reason I hate them. And then someday you show up somewhere and you hear a story about how that person that you don't like and you believe you have a ton of valid reasons for not liking them got attacked by somebody else. It wasn't you. You didn't attack them. You didn't hurt them. But you heard that this guy, this person that's always pushed your buttons the wrong way, pushed somebody else's buttons. At least that's the story and the version you're told. And important that Markwayne Mullin also points out he didn't know the extent of the damage at the time, how badly Rand Paul was beaten by his neighbor. As an MMA guy, as a fighter, as someone who's probably walked away from scraps with bruises before, if that's what you envisioned having happened, if you think, all right, somebody got mad enough at Rand Paul, they hurt him a little bit, not a lot, which the reality was he did get hurt a lot. He went to the hospital and everything, and it was a whole ordeal. But if you heard that and you said, well, I get it, it's because you think you've seen versions of this person. Now, I'm not trying to say that Markwayne Mullin is right, by the way. I don't know Rand Paul well enough to have a real opinion of his character. I know there's things that he's done that I think are performative and silly and not the way I do them if I were in office. I think there's a lot of stuff he's done that I've liked. I think Rand Paul at times has stood very much with President Trump on some unpopular things. But Rand Paul is certainly a guy with his own core set of beliefs. He'll go any road he wants. I loved what Rand Paul did to Dr. Anthony Fauci during COVID. I loved it. I would watch that every day and just like eat popcorn and be like, we need more people like this, people with knowledge, people who are doctors themselves, saying all the scientific stuff that you and I might not be able to see in data on our own, and say how it just made no sense, the story that Fauci was telling. So I'm not saying that Rand Paul to me seems like some horrible, terrible jerk that I'd never like, but I'm putting myself in the human situation of two people that are water and fire, that are, water and wine, or whatever you want to call it, where they just don't get along at all, and telling one of those two people that their enemy was attacked by somebody else, and listening to the person be like, well, yeah, I get that. And then it becoming this whole spectacle. Because the other thing, too, is what's said between people. It's not like Markwayne Mullin went out there and did commercials about how people should be punching Rand Paul in the face. That's not what he did. He didn't call for more violence against Rand Paul, and I think Rand Paul is acting like that's what happened. And so I just think all of it is so performative and so me. Look, I know a lot of people. I work in an interesting industry, and I've worked in this industry for a long time, and I know a lot of people who think very highly of themselves. And I oftentimes see that same thing in politicians. A whole lot of, and honestly, and I can't remember who has this rant. It might actually be Bill Maher who has the rant, but someone does, about how hilarious it is that politicians believe so much in themselves, because of course they do. There's no way for you to run for an office, any office at all, the office of president among them, but whatever. Like, I want to represent the entire state of Texas. Who'd be good at that job? Oh, right, I would. Me. There's something that's uniquely arrogant about those statements themselves. And so I do think that a lot of politicians wind up being very self-obsessed, and I think we saw a version of that didn't help the party at all. And I'll say one last thing about Markwayne Mullin and the threat of violence he made in the past. I like it. I don't actually think that there should be a moment where people physically are fighting, but I like the idea that these pompous you-know-whats are occasionally told that the way that these disagreements were settled in the past involved a thing that would terrify you, involved a thing that would make you cry and hide in the corner because you never want to be confronted with someone who's willing to back up their words with actions. That's what's happening in Iran, too, by the way. All of these people, all of these, how dare he do it? How dare he go there and try to attack a place, as Fetterman said, that every politician, right and left, has said for a while now, we probably shouldn't let continue to do whatever they want. But the how dare he do it people are people out there that I just don't think can ever fathom a simple reality of life. It's a simple one, and one that honestly at one point I think made our society better. Again, I'm not encouraging this. I'm not calling for this. But there's a whole bunch of stand-up comedians who make the joke that getting bullied a little bit at some point in your life might actually make you tougher, as opposed to what happens now, which is no one getting bullied at all, and that maybe not being so good. I'm sure people listening to this station know somebody whose confidence level does not match what it should match of who they are as a person. And they just think they'd never have to answer for any of the things they do, any of their behaviors at all in any capacity whatsoever. And being reminded that you could answer to those things is not inherently bad. I'm not calling for violence. I don't want people harmed or killed. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that every so often, demonstrating to someone in some capacity that they're not immune to answering for the worst of their behavior does in fact have good along with bad that comes with it. So I just think that's fascinating. All right, one last thing I want to play, and then we'll take another break, and I think I blew through a break, and then we're actually going to bounce and get out of here already. But Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, after the crazy, radical, socialist moron that they elected mayor of New York City, has been calling for more taxes on the uber wealthy within the state, not just the city of New York, but the state of it. And there's been pushback and other things where Mamdani has eventually said, you know, if I don't get these tax hikes on the rich, I got to raise the taxes on everybody, which is typical Democratic version of this is what I wanted to do all along. But Hochul is actually pleading for some of the New Yorkers who left to come back, saying that they're going to have some generous versions of support and programs in their state to do more for people, basically saying, wait a minute, when all the rich people leave, it makes things worse for us because the money they were giving us was really great, and not getting that is really bad. Let's play a little bit of that audio.
And being conscious of the facts that I need people who are high net worth to support the generous social programs that we want to have in our state.
You?
Right. Now, there are some patriotic millionaires who stepped up.
Oh, God.
Okay, cut me the checks. I mean, just if you want to be supportive, but maybe the first step should be go down to Palm Beach and see who you can bring back home.
Please go get the people who ran away to Florida or Texas and bring them back to New York, where we're going to be much meaner to them and take more of their money, and then hear from people who say no. By the way, a pretty funny post in response to this. There are some people now saying that they are going to reward bounty hunters, and this is a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek version of saying that, who find someone that's convinced to flee Florida or Texas and go back to New York. If you out these people, out their businesses, so we can stop supporting them, there are organizations that say they're going to give you $1,000. They're like, we want the bounty hunters to tell us about the people who fold to the lack of pressure, just the begging from a Kathy Hochul that we promise we're going to do good stuff for you if you come back. It's a war on the rich, and then it's a, wait a minute, this didn't work out for us because they're the people with the most ability to pick up and leave. I love that. And I love the faux bounty that's been put out there for anyone that actually does this. I find that pretty hilarious, too. All right, another quick break. We'll come back in just a bit. The Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas.
Spring deals are popping up early at Lowe's. Right now, get 4 bags of Stay Green 2 cubic foot mulch for just $10. Plus, save $20 on an Ego 56-volt string trimmer, now just $199. Spring starts better when you save early. Don't miss out. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 3/18. Mulch offer excludes Hawaii. Selection varies by location. While supplies last.
Everyone knows the BBB is the Better Business Bureau, but depending on what you need, it's the Better Plumber Bureau, the Better Auto Mechanic Bureau, the Better Accountant Bureau. That's because the BBB connects people with businesses they can trust. So think of the BBB as the better check that business out first so you don't get ripped off bureau. Be smart. Always look for the BBB seal because it's looking out for you. And find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
Plumbing emergencies never happen at a convenient time. Usually they happen on the weekends, holidays, or while you're away on vacation. I'm Richard Sod, president of Nick's Plumbing. When you find yourself facing a plumbing emergency, call the licensed and experienced professionals at Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services. Nick's Plumbing has been Houston's first choice for all your plumbing needs since 1979. Our experts can take your most difficult plumbing issues and fix them fast, fix them right, and usually for less than you'd expect. Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services is the right choice for any plumbing job, from a leaky faucet, whole house repipe, or a complete sewer line replacement. You can count on Nick's Plumbing to do the job right. With over 40 years in business and over 150,000 satisfied customers, Nick's wants to be your plumbing company. Nick's Plumbing offers free estimates and free second opinions. Call Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services, 713-868-9907, or visit us on the web, nicksplumbing.com.
NPL 38548.
Call Nick's Plumbing today. We're on the way.
That's Mike. He took ZzzQuil Pure Z's, so now he's sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. ZzzQuil Pure Z's are fast-acting melatonin gummies with a complementary botanical blend to help Mike get the sleep he needs to wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday.
Let's do this Monday.
ZzzQuil Pure Z's, just for sleep. Really great sleep. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. I grabbed the phone during a break, so I actually finally answered a call. We're going to throw somebody on the air. Rusty, you're calling from Houston. What do you want to say, bud?
Well, I don't know. Just welcome to the official airways.
Thank you.
Yeah. MAGA. You're my MAGA man, huh?
I guess I'll tell you this. It's funny that Chris X, that's what you're referring to, Chris X, came up with that nickname for me, because I do wind up agreeing with a lot of stuff that Trump does, but I don't do it on purpose. I'm not trying to say that I'm intentionally MAGA. It just so happens that not only have I voted for the man 3 times, I do also like the things he does. But what else do you want to say?
Well, yeah, it's just amazing, that little poll that y'all came up with.
Yeah.
100%.
100%.
Loved the man.
Yeah.
He invented the alternate facts.
He did.
Kelly Conway?
Yes. Yeah, no, he demonstrated how ridiculously one-sided our media was. A lot of us knew it, but we didn't know it to the extent that it's true now, and most people on the right and left believe it. And that's a Trump thing. That's one of many Trump things that has happened since he first took office. Go ahead.
Yeah, he just overwhelms the media. He has learned how to, what they call, flood the zone.
Yes. Yeah, in a positive way.
I mean, that man will tell a lie every day, and you can't make mad notes on
So
the
I'm
lies
assuming
he tells.
you're anti-Trump?
Well,
That's okay. I'm going to have a conversation with you, Rusty. I'm not going to immediately hang up the phone on you because.
I think I am. I mean, I voted against him 3 times.
Well,
so.
let me say this to you. Do you think he's the only politician that doesn't tell the truth all the time?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so then that attack you just took, that shot you just took at him, you take it at him like it's unique to Trump, and it's not.
Well, no,
it's not.
It was
I'll put you on hold for a second. You know it's not, and I know it's not, and that matters because when you try to shape these individuals on whatever side of the aisle you're not on as just terrible, horrible people, they're the worst people ever. You know factually that the side that you support are no better. They behave no better. They behave no differently. All the things you don't like. And I don't think that Trump lies every second of every day. I think that's ridiculous. But I will say that the Democrats so constantly, and this is Chris Rock speaking, not me, leave out important parts of the truth when they're talking to manipulate and convince. Like, look at Talarico right now. And the fact that he was so proud to be vegan when he's running for office in Austin, and then all of a sudden he's proud to put out a post of him eating meat because he's so for sale. His opinions are such bull bleep, you know what they are, that it doesn't matter. He'll say whatever the new thing is. I'm going to bring it back on, Rusty. But seriously, when we take these shots, I just want to be honest and candid in saying you're not actually trying to say that your side of the aisle, whoever you support, actually behaves all that differently.
Well, you just said he sold out. Yeah, you never mentioned anybody that he actually sold out to. I don't.
Well, here,
maybe he changed his mind.
No,
I don't know.
Let me
Like
articulate.
Holcomb.
I like the challenge there, Rusty. So I'm going to articulate what I mean by that. He's running for a different position in Austin, which is very, very liberal, and he says out loud to a room of supporters that he wants to write him checks that his campaign is vegan, that we have to support, treating animals correctly or something. Why do you think? Why do you think? Well, sure. We can go into the natural gases and all that stuff if you want to. I would rather not do that. Not because I think it's a rough argument for me, but because it's so stupid. I'd rather stay on this topic instead. Why do you think he said that as somebody who then eats meat? If he actually isn't a passionate vegetarian or vegan guy himself, why did he do that? He did that because he's a politician who wanted to curry favor with people that he thought would agree with him in a certain room. And they do that all. That's the most crap thing. Go ahead.
I don't eat a lot of meat, and I haven't seen that Argentina meat on sale yet either.
Yeah. No, but Talarico put a photo of him eating meat at some fair in response to the viral stuff about him being vegan or his campaign being vegan, which is just him responding to him. It's not someone making up an attack about him. They're playing his own audio, and he's now trying to refute it. Why do you think he did that? He did that to get money.
Is he wanting contributions from the meat company?
So, no, the opposite. He wanted contributions from the people in the room who must not have supported it. Politicians stand in certain rooms, and when we get the audio of them in those rooms, we see how full of crap they are. Because who's ever in that room ready to cut them a check, they'll say anything. They're worse than, like, prostitutes, to be honest with you, man, the politicians, and how willing they are to give whatever is needed to the people that they need money from. They behave like this constantly, and I don't think you disagree with this. I think you just don't like the position I'm taking and how it benefits Trump.
Well, no, you just said he sold out, and you didn't mention who he sold out to or
the people in that room who wrote him checks.
We know that
every time he says something he doesn't actually believe because his behavior demonstrates the opposite of what his words are, I assume he's doing it because someone somewhere in a room he's in is about to cut him a check. I don't know every single...
Didn't Holcomb receive $50,000 from an FBI undercover agent?
Kathy Hochul?
No, who's the man? I'm bad with that.
Okay, I don't know.
It was on trial. It was on Senate.
Again, though, the way that you argue my point is to say it also happens on the other side, and I'm saying that's true. I'm saying both sides do this all the time, that most politicians are purchasable, that most people who run for political office in this country, I mean, look at Kamala Harris and the way she changed her positions when she was running in California to when she attempted to be a national politician. A very terrible campaign nonetheless. But look at all the things she argued. That's good. I'm glad you agree with that. But look at all the things she argued with herself on. When you as a politician wind up answering to yourself enough times, as Talarico is right now, you know that you're not the kind of person that we need in a political position, because who knows what you're going to think tomorrow. If your position's changed.
Rand Paul was right. He never apologized, and there was no regrets.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think that I'll tell you that. Thank you for the call. Thank you for the call. I really appreciate it, Rusty. I don't agree with you there. I think that Rand Paul was upset that Markwayne Mullin didn't say, "I'm sorry, sir," to you for the thing that he believed. But Markwayne Mullin did not call for violence on Rand Paul and did state, and I played the audio, that he thought it was wrong. He did denounce it. The behavior of someone hurting someone else. He's not calling for people to get in fights with each other. But the fact that what I think was a semantic trick, meaning Rand Paul was enraged that Markwayne Mullin has the you-know-whats to look someone in the eye that you don't like and say, yeah, I can see how somebody might want to hit you. That's essentially all Markwayne said. And at the time, if you believe him, and I happen to believe Markwayne Mullin on this, he didn't think Rand Paul had been as hurt as Rand Paul was. He thought it was a fight and not necessarily a thing that put Rand Paul in the hospital with broken ribs and I think a collapsed lung. Like he thought it was a lesser version of a conflict than that. And his simple response was, I can see how the person I know and the person who doesn't like me at all and I don't like at all might eventually make someone else mad enough to want to harm you. And that was changed to be, I support people attacking Rand Paul. And I think that's where Markwayne Mullin has a problem. It's two people with egos. I'm not going to pretend Markwayne Mullin doesn't have an ego as well in that back and forth. But all of it's unnecessary to the political process that we're trying. Like all of it sidestepped the value of what actually is trying to be accomplished in those hearings, which is, do the things you believe in actually wind up benefiting you in the position we want to put you in? Do they benefit our party? Is there a reason that Trump wants to put you in this position? And I will reiterate, even though Markwayne Mullin is an MMA fighter who was paid to get in fights at one point in his life, as far as I understand, he has punched 0 politicians. So if you want to tell me the guy's dangerous or his, emotions are going to get the better of him, his behavior is going to be too extreme, his anger issues are just over the top, the one thing I've yet to see is that anger issue actually cause a problem in reality. I've seen him say some things to people, and I think those are things that other people might have also wanted to say to some of these politicians. But I've never seen an actual story where Markwayne Mullin lost his temper and attacked somebody. And until I see that, I kind of think that all of this is overblown political discussion that has no value in the current version of, are you going to do a good job if we appoint you to this position where the last person that we had didn't do a good job? Are you going to be a straight shooter? Are you going to be honest all the time? Because that was Kristi Noem's problem. That's not Markwayne Mullin's problem. All right, that's the show. I'm out of here. See you guys later. Thanks to Rusty and the other callers. Talk to you tomorrow.
You're listening to the Voice of Texas, AM 700 KSEV Tomball,